Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to show you how to put up a Hennessey hammock zip. This is an ultralight Explorer XL asymmetric zip. It is the longest name for a hammock potentially of all time. And today I'm going to show you how to put it up on the tree. Stay tuned. Let's go get it. So I've already taken it out of the bag. Now I have already wrapped this one in a snakeskin, which is an accessory that Hennessey sells. Here is the bag that it comes in. So when you buy these, they typically only come with the hammock. You usually have to buy the Rainfly separately. And you also typically have to buy an underquilt and a top quilt. Normal sleeping bags in this hammock typically will not work, just so you know. Like down sleeping bags will compress underneath you and then provide you no insulation, and your butt will get cold and you will not sleep. Technically, it will still work as a hammock, but you will not get a good night's rest, and that's what we're after. So this is, like I said, the ultralight Explorer XL asymmetric zip. So let's get on with it. Let's put this thing up. One other modification that I've made to it, and this is something that I recommend that everybody do if they're getting a Hennessey hammock. The default suspension system that they send with you is rather atrocious. And what I mean by that is that it's almost like shoelace material, like thick shoelace material that they expect you to get around a tree and like link in, and you have to do a bunch of knots. It's really a pain in the rear, especially once you get your hammock up on one end, you've tied all these knots that don't move, and then you go over to the other side of your hammock and then you tot it up, and then it's lower on one end and higher on the other. Then you have to undo all of the knots on that other side and then pull it up and then tie it again, and then your other side will be down. It's like, ah! So then you end up doing that for like, probably, honestly, I used to spend like 30 minutes to an hour just getting the thing to the right level. It was the biggest pain in the rear. Save yourself the headache and get yourself one of these, or well, two of these technically, for both sides. Get rid of the suspension that comes with it. Get these things. Pretty sure they're called like Beetles or something like that. I'll put the, I'll try and find the link to where I got these from. Honestly, I don't even know if the place is still in business. I imagine it is, and hopefully it is, but I cannot remember the name of what these are at the moment, but I will get that and I will put it in this video and you guys will see it and it will be good. But yes, so what this is, I'll show you here up close. So this is what your hammock hangs onto. This is specifically made for the Hennessey hammock. So I'll show you on the end of this. So this is the end of the hammock. So it looks a lot different than like your hammock or your Enos. So it's just got, this is like shoelace material, basically, like heavy paracord shoelace material, I believe. And so what you do with this is you put it up on one side and then you wrap it around on the other side. So then you end up with a situation like that, right? And so up here, this side of this goes to the tree. Or sorry, no, not that side. This side goes to the tree. The side has a hook on it like this. And you can get these with different hook designs and whatnot. I found this to be the most useful. And so this part goes around the tree, and then all it does is it hooks onto there and it just sits on there like that. You see that? So it just hooks onto there like that, and that cinches it up to the tree, and it does a great job with it. I've never had any problems with this. It's not the most secure way of doing it, but honestly, I've never had any problems with it, and I find it super easy to do. So that side goes onto the tree, and this side goes onto your hammock. So then when you put it up, you can just leave it like loose, and you can go over to the other side of the tree. You could put it up on that side of the tree and then leave it like that as well. So then you have it hung in between the two trees. One side could be up higher than the other. Say it's like this, and you got this end lower. You come over to this side, and all you have to do to make it tighter is you just pull on the end of the rope that isn't attached to the tree, like this, and it will pull it through. But it won't be able to go back the other way because it'll be like tensioned up against it, so as such that it won't be able to go back down. So when it's like this, when it's this angle, it can't move. But when you move it like this, it can move freely. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. And I highly recommend them because this way you can just pull it up on this end, go over to the other side, pull it up on that end, and then you don't have to redo any knots. Actually, there is no knots involved, and it'll save you a ton of time. So let's go ahead and put this up in the tree, and I'll show you just how quickly I can do that. Oh, I should mention, if it's raining when you get to your camp to put this thing up, put up the Rainfly first, and then put up your hammock after it, because then you'll have a dry space to work with before you take out your hammock. Because if your hammock gets wet, then you're gonna be wet and you're not gonna have any fun, and you're gonna be cold, and it's basically useless if it's wet. So that's my 2 cents on that front. But yeah, so let me go put these up in the tree. So you just need like a semi-decent space in between things. I'm gonna put them up here. You also want to look for widow makers above you. You don't want to put up your hammock in a spot where trees can fall on you. And for this, you just wrap this around here with one hand on the hook, and you put it through the hook and make sure it gets around the bottom of that little clasp, and then you just pull it tight and you just let it down. Simple as that, and you move on to the next one. So my other one is right here. So I'm gonna actually attach these between these two kind of smaller trees here. These are probably on the small end of what you'd want to use, but since I've got a hammock up in just about every other tree here, I don't really have a ton of room to work with. But since this is pretty far down here, I'm gonna actually tighten that up quite a bit. Because I know it will be too long in that, and how long it was there. So, all right, let's get that ready to go. Cool. All right, so here we have a closer look at that. See, it goes through here, and then it wraps around that little guy there. And then you just pull her tight. Easy as that. And the rest of this just hangs out. And down to here. So if I wanted to tighten that up, I would just hold one end and raise it up. So I'll do just that. All right, so this is what I was talking about here. So with this, this end is on the tree here. Here, let me move over this side. This end's on the tree here. This end's down here. So if I just hold this with this hand and pull, this is the loose end. If I just pull that, you see how that gets tighter there? So then this tightens it up closer to the tree there. So then, you know, if it's sitting like this, that's not going anywhere. That's gonna break my finger or anything in between it before that does anything. So it's pretty cool. I really like it. And yeah, both of them are like that. You saw how quick that took. That took me honestly like a minute to put up both of them. So probably quicker if I was actually trying to make it quicker. All right, let's get the hammock actually on here. So within all of this is the hammock, the entire hammock. Not the Rainfly, but just the hammock. So on these, you have this with the little flip part upwards, and then you thread it through one side and then around the other, and then you're on, just like that. Same with the other side here. I've put these in a little too far here, so I gotta push it through. over here, we do the same thing. Go around on one side, and then around on the other side, and then you're good, just like that. So now you see the problem that I would have here. If I had tied up a knot on that side and a knot on this side, I'd have to undo the knots. I'd have to go over there, pull it up, knot it, go over to the other side, undo the knots there, then pull it up, knot it. Then you keep having to monkey going back and forth to balance it, right? And you go on a flat hang, because otherwise you'll be like Luke and me in our last video, where we're not on a flat hang, and then it's really uncomfortable. All right, so this is what I was talking about. Get that off of there. This is what I'm talking about here. So let's get this a little closer to the camera. So you got that, and you've got, this is the end of the hammock. So what you do here is you want it to go up and over that piece there. There's two separate pieces. So you go through that one side, like that, and then this side comes up and over that little hump there, and just like that. There's no attaching. Other than that, that is it. It is literally all you do, and it is amazing, and it works super great. So then all you got to do is just pull that. You'll see that it goes up. So you just pull that up, and then you'll notice here that I've got like yay so distance between that. The other side I can see has like yay so distance between. So now you go over to that other side and you do the same thing over there. All right, so then for this side you do the same thing. You pull the loose end here, and it helps to like hold your hammock up a little bit too, so you can pull that up. And so now I've realized that I've got this thing way too high off the ground already. So instead of continuing to tighten it and put it into its final place, I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit while I still got some slack in it. So all you do to bring it down is you just grab the part that's holding onto your hammock, pull it in a little bit, and then just pull the thing out from the tree a little bit, and then you can just kind of like slink it down to where you go. So I'm putting it at like eye level because I'm also on a little bit of a hill. So downside is, you know, I mean, one side's gonna be higher than the other, but that's just kind of all part of being on a hill. So yeah, I think this will actually be okay. I think this is at about the same height across the way to the other one. So I think we'll be okay on that front with where this is put now. I think I actually put this up too high because the ground over here on the bottom side of me is actually higher than it is on the other tree. So you got to also play with that. So if you're putting it up at the same level above your head, that's not going to work. You're going to have to play by ear. So, but you want both ends, when you're done, you want both ends of the hammock like this to be at about the same level. Once you got it kind of briefly up like that, take a step back and look at it. I've already realized that this side over here is quite a bit higher, probably about 6 inches higher than this side is here. So I'm gonna bring down this side before I tighten it up fully. So just bring that in, pull out with your hand, and then simply just bring it down the tree a little bit here, and then let it go again. I like to make sure that this is kind of in the center of the tree out to where the hammock was gonna hang, because naturally when you sit in it, it's gonna auto adjust itself to that point anyways. It just saves yourself that like mini heart attack. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna take a look at it again. That looks pretty good. I think I may have lowered it a little too much over here, but we'll figure that out in a second. Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna bring it up like 2 inches or something, only because I'm kind of a perfectionist. Okay, right there. Right there should be good. Okay, so now you just want to cinch it up on both ends about equally here. Possible. I like to have, or sorry, if possible, I like to make sure that there's almost as close as possible the same amount of space on this side as there is on the other side. So this is like, yay, so this is like, it's pretty similar. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit more on this side, and that should make us pretty much flat. So the thing you'll find with this is that once you put it up the first time and then you sit in it, you're probably going to have to tighten it up again, because it will it'll loosen up. Everything will kind of down into itself. So, but yeah, if you buy it from the factory without the snake skins, it won't have this. But these are really nice because you can keep your hammock all nice and organized, and then you just slide these off just like that, and then there you go. There is your hammock in all her beauty. You can pull her out a little bit. She's got a lot of extra fabric in there. So now if you really want to do yourself one further, you can get like a line level that costs like $5 at Menards or Home Depot, or on Amazon even. And you can slap that on your ridge line here. That's what this line here in the center is called a ridge line, which just keeps your mosquito netting up, basically. It really doesn't do too much. It won't actually hold your weight. And if you put too much weight on it, it will break. And then you won't, it'll be really pain. So don't put any weight on it. I know from the hard way I've broken ridge lines in the past, and it's really unfortunate when it happens, especially if it's in the woods and you don't have any extra paracord with you. But yeah, all that does is hold your gear up here, and I wouldn't even put too much gear up here, but it just basically keeps the roof up. So these are for staking out. These are like bungee guy lines. These are for staking out, because your feet will go over in this corner, and then your head will go over on that other corner where that other one is. I am going to put up the Rainfly in kind of an awkward order. Typically, like I said, I would do the Rainfly first, and then put up your hammock, and then your underquilt, and do all your staking and everything. But you wanted to stake out your Rainfly first. You want to get that all set up, and then you can work underneath it. But for filming purposes, I don't want to be hunched down underneath that thing all the time, so I'm not going to show you that in this order, but just know that that is the order that I typically do it in. All right, so there's a couple of different options that you can do for your sleeping arrangement in your hammock. Well, there's technically, like, I would consider there to be 3 different arrangements. One is your freeze your butt with no insulation whatsoever. The second is with a proper underquilt or a top quilt, which I have in here. These aren't down, by the way. These are an alternative to down. Down materials are very expensive and very delicate. So, but they compress a lot further than these do. So, yeah, so there is that. You know, these take up quite a lot of space. They're not super heavy, but they take up a lot of space. The third is just a sleeping pad, just a regular sleeping pad that you would use in a tent, and you lay it on the inside like you saw Luke and I do. And yeah, that works pretty well too. So honestly, I don't know what's best. It's all personal comfort level of what you want to do. I think that the sleeping pad may probably be the easiest way, because all you got to do is just inflate the sleeping pad and stick it in there, and you're good. You don't have to like monkey with the with getting the suspension proper for the underquilt, which I'll show you in a second. It's not as easy as it sounds. All right, let's get into the underquilt. So I don't know which of these is the underquilt or the top quilt, and it's been a hot minute since I've actually put these up. So bear with me on that front. Believe, oh, this one's the, okay, so this one is the top quilt. And the reason I know that is because this one in particular has a foot box, as they call it. And it's a spot for your feet to go. And it's just like a 2 foot by 2 foot section that you put your feet in on the inside. And then the rest of it is just like a quilt or like a blanket. And you put it over the top of yourself. Yeah, pretty simple. And then on the top here, it's got a like a bungee strap, so you can like pull it into yourself. Although it doesn't like link into itself on the other side, so it does seem kind of pointless, in my opinion, to have that on the top. But yeah, whatever. So I'm gonna put this inside of the hammock. I'm just gonna unzip it here and put this inside. I'm gonna try sleeping with my head this side. So I'm gonna put this over like this. All right, there we go. And as soon as you do that, zip it back up. If there's any bugs, mosquitoes especially, you do not want those in your hammock. That should be self-explanatory. This one here is our underquilt. Or well, hopefully it is, and you didn't just get 2 top quilts. That would be rather unfortunate. So we'll pull that out of the bag here. This one will look a little bit different, obviously. So this one has these lines on the end. So with these lines, they also have a little carabiner on them. So these snap on to your straps on the sides, and then it just kind of like cocoons up underneath your hammock. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that up on there. So you just kind of put it underneath there, and this side just comes over here and just slap her on here. I'm gonna put this one up a little further because I want. Can I do that? Oh, I didn't even think about that. That might be what that's for, even. Huh. Yeah, well, we're gonna give that a shot. That might be too far for it, but then on the other side, there is a carabiner, a really tiny carabiner on the other side. So you just make sure that you got this laying properly. You bring it under entirely here, and then up over here to the other side, and I'm just gonna snap it into that B thing. I think that might actually be what that's for. I never really thought about that. That'd be kind of amazing if it was. All right, so, okay, I've got this one backwards already. All right, no worries. The reason I know that this is backwards is because this one was made specifically for this hammock, and it's got these little eye holes where these lines go through. And this one is for that side because it's further over. And this one is, there's one that's like further over on this side. So this one's all the way over here and this one's all the way over here. So all I have to do here is just invert this like that, and we're good to go. So then, yeah, so that's basically the underquilt. As you can see, it's just like a burrito. It's like a burrito for your hammock. Now let's take this closer here, and I can show you more about these strap situations here. Okay. So more about what I was talking about with that. So you've got these that come out on the sides, and these are supposed to expand the inside so that your feet, because you lay at a diagonal inside of this thing. It's kind of bizarre, and you're really just gonna have to see me sit in it to really understand what that means. But so you take your little strap here and you run it underneath. There's like a little flexible guy line inside of there. You run it underneath and then through that, that black thing there, and then that will also pull out the hammock around you properly there, as you can see. And then you can stake this down. So I'm going to do that. I'm gonna get a stake and actually show you that. All right, so I've got stake here. So take that and just grab a stake here, and it just kind of clicks onto it. And then, yeah, you're just gonna put that in the ground, just like that. You don't have to put it into the ground. Ideally, you would strap that onto your Rainfly, but for sake of showing you here, and do that. I'm actually gonna bring it over this way just a little bit. All right, then you do the same with the other side. So I'm not gonna show you that because basically the same thing as that side is. You just have the same thing, you bring it up underneath that guy line through the black eye hole there. There we go. Bring that through there slightly, and then you just put this thing down in the ground. I'm gonna actually bring this out at a slight angle here. There we go. All right, and there you have it. Get that on there. So now, the thing is, with these underquilts, you don't want them to be right up against you. You want them to be underneath you a little bit, but you don't want them to be right up underneath you, because if they compress, then they don't do you any good. So you got to have it up a little bit, but that should be good. That should ultimately be okay. So we're gonna give that a shot, and I'm gonna hop in there, and we'll see if that does the job here. All right, that should probably be a good level. So as you can see here, I've got 2 zippers. So I'm gonna open this up here, just like that, and then you've got your space. So all you do here is you just slap your butt up on here, and you just sit in it. Simple as that. Like, it's pretty straightforward. And you got a nice little seat for yourself. So when they advertise this, they kind of advertise it as a seat, also a tent, and a hammock. You know, it's got everything. So yeah, like a lot of people that hammock camp a lot will just sit here, and they'll make their food right here from right next to their hammock. So yeah, pretty good deal. Pretty good deal here. There aren't any mosquitoes, fortunately, right now, so I'm not super worried about it. But I am gonna take off my shoes here to show you how you lay inside of this thing, because that part is quite unique across hammocks. Just about every hammock actually has a different way that you lay in it. At least like the popular camping style hammocks. And they've blown up a lot since I've really done like a bunch of research into it. So there's probably like tons of options now. But you know, back in the day, like there wasn't a ton of options. Hennessey's been around for a hot minute though, so. All right, well, I'm gonna show you that on this one. So you slap that door over you there, and you sit back in here, and then you can close this up over you here. It's so much easier to get into this one than it is to get into that classic, I tell you that much. And then, yeah, I just recommend testing it out before you're like at nighttime, and you'll know if you can actually sleep in it or not. So you just you lay back at a slight diagonal. My feet are up over on that side. It's not like 100% like a true like flat lay. I think I've gotta adjust the edges a little bit. I gotta bring it up on both ends, tighten it up a little bit in order to get a more flat lay here. But and I'm not really 100% sure if I am sitting right against this or not. If I am, my butt's gonna get cold in the night, and I don't want that. So you wanna be up from that underquilt a little bit, but not too much. That air can get in between there and take out your seal, if you get what I mean. Because it's really just like, imagine having like a down coat on, or like a winter jacket. Just provides you that extra like layer. So your feet go in that foot box on here, gives your feet a little bit extra material to work with. And then you just fold it up over you like this, and that's basically it. And then you can just take a nap in here. You can do whatever you want. You know, it's decently comfy. I find my head like goes right up against this though, which I don't much like. But yeah, it's not terrible. Could definitely be worse. Never tried to lay the other way. Yeah, it doesn't really work the other way. Probably for good reason. All right. And yeah, you just kind of try to get comfortable in here, and however that feels for you. And I don't really find myself needing a pillow in here because the back of this thing kind of gives you a little suspension off of it. But in here, in this spot, this little pocket that comes with it, you can put your phone up in here. You can put your keys. You could put, you know, I bring mace with me, so I put mace up in here. There's a big pocket on here. You could put a bunch of stuff in there. So, yeah, there's a bunch of different uses for this thing. You can put mittens up here, a bunch of different things. You could also like run stuff along the ridge line and hang stuff off of that. Yeah, oh, another thing with this mosquito netting, mosquitoes can't like pierce through it at all. So you're not gonna get stung through it, which is really, really, really nice, or bit through it, I guess. Yeah. Other than that, that's basically it. If your butt's getting cold, you're gonna have to adjust it in the middle of the night. So it is kind of a pain in that regard. In my opinion, the sleeping pad might be the way to go. But we'll see. So I haven't really given this thing a full test of like overnight in a really long time since I've been out in the woods. That was unfortunately the first time we tested it out. So hopefully we can actually sleep in it. But I gotta figure out how to properly get it to line up. And hopefully I can just watch this back and see how it looks, because my butt already feels a little bit cold, which is not a really good sign that it's not gonna be cold later. So I'll hop out of it for now. And what do we got going on here? What's going on here? What? Oh, there we go, never mind. All right, and then the cool part about the zip is that it's just super easy to just grab your shoes, you know, and slap them on. Or if you're a man, some people can just pee laying down, so you can just roll over to the side and, you know, do your business. Although then you have like that right next to your hammocks, so there is that. Can't really do that in the bottom entry, so yeah. I just think the bottom entry is a cool novelty. It's not as much of a practical thing, but it is a novel idea. Get my shoes back on here, and then we'll put the Rainfly up on this thing. Oh yeah, I gotta get my phone out of there. All right, so the bottom side of this thing, I believe, is probably sitting on it. Of course, it's not super ideal in that regard, but You can cinch these things up on the sides here. So you can bring it up in like that. You can also bring it up further on the sides. There's a couple of different ways to adjust it. All right, I'm just gonna seal this up here quick. Oh yeah, make sure you don't get your underquilt stuck in the zipper. That would be no fun. The Rainfly in here, I'm gonna put that up as well. Another thing that I can recommend you don't do is put both of your hammocks on the same tree for suspension if you're trying to sleep, because you'd be surprised at how little wiggling you can do in your hammock before the whole tree's shaking. And if your partner moves around a lot, or whoever it is that you're hammocking with moves around a lot, then you're gonna shake like crazy. So yeah, and you're not gonna be able to sleep. Ask me how I know that. From experience. All right, let's get this up on the thing. If I remember correctly though, this one, right, that's right, okay. So I didn't have enough paracord when I was redoing the suspension on these things, and I had to leave the old red suspension on this one, so it's not ideal, but it'll do the job for what we need it for. All right, so we've got these come in, they just tuck in underneath here in the flaps. So I'm just gonna bring this up and around here. I'm gonna give it some extra space, put it up over that branch there. This is really just like, this stuff is the worst. So I wouldn't recommend using this type of material. But you just tie a square knot in it, which is just left over right, and then right over left. Probably one of the easiest knots that you can make, in my opinion. And then you just cinch that up. Oop, did I do it wrong? Yeah, I made a zip tie knot, or a slip knot. It's easy to mess that up. All right, so we'll do this. And there we go. That's what I meant to do. Okay. The problem that with using this really tiny cord material is that when you come to take this knot out, it's really hard to get it out because it's super tiny. So if you can avoid using that, I would. Okay. Same deal with this other side here. Just pull this up over it here, and then you just take out your cord out of there. And then slap it up in here at the same height as you did on the other side. Bring it down just a little bit here. Need to go up too high. Go up there, right there. All right, so I'm actually gonna bring that around one more time. Actually twice, just to give it some friction on there because of how much of a pain this stuff is to work with. Kind of a pain. Oh boy, it's starting to rain. I gotta get this up quick. All right, so I've done that just about as poorly as you could probably do it, but whatever. It's actually starting to rain now, of course. Like I said, if you put your hammock up without the Rainfly on, the weather gods will come in and make it rain on you, like without fail. All right, it is starting to rain, so I'm gonna kind of rush this a little bit here. Shoot, I don't really have enough stakes either, I don't think. Stakes were definitely made. Oh shoot, there's a fox right up here. Huh. I don't know where he went, but there was a fox right up there. That's cool. Huh. I think he was watching me. He couldn't have been more than like 30 yards away. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Right on. All right, that's sweet. I like that. In order to attach these, you need to have a knot in them. So let me show you how to do that. So you take cord, like this is my paracord, and then I'm gonna take and make a loop out of it. Then with the end that's connected to the rope, I'm going to take that and go around it like this, and then you'll have like a little loop, and you go through the loop, and then you just pull both of the other ends like that, and then you've got yourself a knot. It's like a slip knot. But then if you wanted to double down on it, all you do is you go the other way, and you do the same thing, but you go the other way, and then bring that up, tighten like that, and then you've got a knot that doesn't cinch up on you, just like that. I'm actually gonna take out the stake that I put in the ground earlier. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it in that new hole that I just made. And then bring that out a little bit at a diagonal here and stick her in the ground, and then push it in with my foot, just like that. Then I'm gonna do the same with this side. But I'd recommend going over first to the other side. I'm just gonna pull out that and tie a knot in it. Pretty close on this one because I got this tree here, so I'm actually gonna do this kind of close to the thing here. There we go. Just like that, and then I'll be able to tighten it just right there, which will be perfect. All right, let me get another stake. So take my stake, put it in the loop there, and then drive her in, just like that. So ideally you won't have like that little stretch there, but when you bring it in, once you do it on the other side, then it'll pull it on through, so you won't have to deal with that. We got 2 left, so let me bring you over to the other side. I'll show you the staking down the other side there. Alrighty, so I got the other side here, so I'll pull out the contents from a corner, and we'll bring this out. I'm gonna tie this one off right here. All right, and then bring it at a slight angle, and then drive her on in, just like that, nice and taut. Same with this side, do the same thing, but on this side, obviously. Bring this one basically down to the ground right away, because otherwise it's kind of in the way. I don't want people tripping over it in case they come down here. So, of course, I've put on green line onto this to make it stealthier, but in doing so, make it harder to see it, so you end up tripping over your lines on a regular basis. Not very ideal. All right, and there you go. That's the full setup. So then you just take your bags. Make sure you don't lose your bags. I like to just stuff everything back into itself. You got your hammock set up here, so take this back down here and show you the other side. All right, so yeah, you can see it's just tied off like that, and then in the ground, that goes up to the corners. Pretty simple. I saw that fox a little bit ago, just right up there, just on that ridge line. Not too far away. He was just skirting around me. I'm in his highway here, up and down the hill. So he's probably a little bit annoyed that I'm down here, but that's whatever. We share the space. All right, so I'm just gonna take this and stuff these all into the bag for that here, and then for this, yeah, that's all there is to it. Take this and put her on back into the pack, and then you can take your pack and all that stuff, and you can stick it up underneath here, and you're good to go. So with this, I was saying you can actually bring these in further so you don't have like that bit, but you know, when you're in there, you kind of want like a little bit of extra space in there, so you can here, let me see, show you this properly here. So you can like pull that in, brings that up in there like that, so it sucks it up in there a little bit more like that. Yeah, stuff like that to make it cinch up a little bit better on you there. Obviously, you don't want it to be like too tight up on there because you don't want it to compress. 'Cause if you're compressing it, then it's not going to do you any good, obviously. You can do the same over on this side too if you want. It's kind of a, you know, you just got to kind of experiment with it. But I'm gonna, shoot, that's right. I've got two separate cords coming in here. Which one do I want to pull? It's this one that I want to pull. Cinch it up in the center there. There we go. All right. And then, so one of them cinches up this long side. One of them, this one cinches up this one. And then, yeah, so all kind of depends on how you want it to be. I'm actually going to, yeah, so that one's lowered that one entirely. So I'm going to do the same here with the other side. I haven't really had a lot of time to just like troubleshoot this thing here, so that's what I'm going to do. So, all right, so the smaller one is the one I want to keep out. This one I want to release. I want that one to have a lot of extra space so it can wiggle around, do what it wants. So then these lines out here, take these down. They got the little clip on the end, and they clip on to these clips here, right there, just like that. So just slap that onto there. Boom. They just sit together just like that. Come on, focus on it. Focus on it, come on. Okay, well, yeah, there you go. You get the idea. It's on there like that. So that pulls it out a little bit. And then you can do the same with the other side here. Like this. Same deal over here. Goes through that little hole there in the underquilt. Okay, and then take this and you pop it onto here. To this clip. Clippity doo dah, clippity day. Oh, by golly, what a wonderful day. All right. There we go. So that's the full setup there. Now you just got to test it out and hope that your butt doesn't get cold. And if it does, then you got to come out and adjust these. It's kind of a pain. It's not the most well-made setup. If I were to do it again, I honestly don't know if I would get the Hennessey hammocks because of how like klutzy the whole setup is with the underquilt and stuff like that. It's just not really conducive for underquilts. So you got to kind of like take that into account. But they do look cool. And it's a cool name. A lot of people know about them. It's a good push to start at least. if you're just looking for a good starter hammock. There's a lot of information about them. Yeah, that's basically all you need to know about the Hennessey hammock.